A group of armed individuals ambushed a young boy in the middle of the woods. They underestimated him because he used tree branch archery. However, he managed to kill all 5 of them. The boy then collected all his belongings and left without leaving anything behind. He muttered to himself, realizing that things were different from what Darian had told him. The human world seemed boring to him. Meanwhile, a meeting was held where people discussed the traces left by the Demon King in the Forest of Roots. They were certain that any living organism with demonic energy wouldn't be able to pass through the barrier. Therefore, nothing else mattered. However, the forest itself was saturated with demonic energy, which created a problem as they couldn't utilize such a large area of land. Someone proposed a solution. If no one could safely return from the forest, they should send in people who were meant to die. This would be the best way to eliminate individuals they had trouble dealing with. One night, a desperate mother pleaded for her child not to be taken away. The people who took the baby claimed that a seed of darkness had sprouted within it. They performed a ritual for the baby named Helmut. The forest served as an exile location, where no one had ever returned alive from. Criminals from any group would be dropped somewhere in the forest using divine magic, just like they did with Helmut. However, if they managed to survive and make it out alive, their sins would be forgiven. The existence of a baby born with the seed of darkness was considered a sin in itself. Thus, the baby was dropped into the demonic place from which no one had returned alive. The forest was filled with demonic energy, bringing coldness and hunger. The child endured harsh treatment, but the energy from the seed embedded in his heart surged out and enveloped him. 10 days passed, and the child tenaciously survived. Instead of preying on him, the demonic energy seemed to empower him. The leopards took care of him, and from that day forward, the child's destiny was determined. 10 years later, he grew into an active boy who hunted rabbits for food. The leopard named Ilaga showed him the rabbit's core, which is possessed by all demonic beasts. Eating it makes them stronger, supplements them with life energy, and increases their lifespan. Helmut wanted to eat it, but the leopard warned him that he could become a demonic beast and live in the forest forever. According to an old and powerful human named Elijah, there was a chance for humans to escape. Excited by the prospect of meeting another human, Helmut headed towards the location mentioned by Elijah. Eventually, he stumbled upon a human-made hut. Suddenly, someone attacked him and pushed his head onto the ground. Helmut explained that Elijah had told him about another human's presence in the forest. The man, named Darian, asked about his intentions. Helmut expressed his desire to escape the forest. Darian introduced himself and warned Helmut that the outside world is not as beautiful or peaceful as he might think. Humans lack sharp claws and fangs, but they possess cruelty and cunningness. They often join forces and betray each other when necessary. People like Helmut, who were born with the seed of darkness, were usually killed at birth. However, Darian spared Helmut, as he owed a debt to Elijah. Darian explained that as long as the seed of darkness remained in Helmut's body, he would always be pursued, even if he managed to escape the forest. Helmut, determined to leave, convinced Darian to help him become human. To do so, he needed to become stronger and break through the forest's barrier. Afterward, he would seek out someone who knew how to navigate it. Darian instructed Helmut to live in the hut and perform human chores, providing him with clothes to wear. Darian will teach him about the boy's dietary restrictions and cooking techniques. Root organisms, even when their core is removed, still retain demonic energy. However, water does not possess demonic energy, so it can be used to purify the organism after removing the core. Helmut realizes that even plants are edible. He was assigned various chores, like fetching water, and met illegal along the way. They discussed the boy's plan to leave the forest, which saddened Elijah. Darian also made Helmut do some exercises and fed him cooked food when he got tired. Helmut found the food delicious. Darian mentioned that there are limits to the human body and that's why he wants to teach him the way of the sword. Darian showed Helmut a sword and instructed him to observe closely. He swung the piece of wood, which appeared to shine in Helmut's eyes. Darian swung the wood around, cracking the ground, explaining that this is how humans survive. Humans have an invisible source of power called this, according to Darien. Helmut was excited to learn about it, but Darien informed him that his body isn't ready to handle it yet. He needs to first understand the sword, which will be difficult and painful. Helmut complained about learning his body structure. Darien asked him to address him properly, so Helmut started calling him Sir. Darien mentioned that having a proper form isn't everything and that Helmut needs to understand what is not explained by Darien. Darien found Helmut strange because he doesn't appreciate learning but is still growing faster than expected. The seed of darkness influences humans and makes them more prone to violence, and Helmut grew up with demonic beasts. Suddenly, Darien hit the boy twice to test him and said that he had grown weaker. Helmut was asked to explain the difference, and he mentioned that the amount of pain, speed, and location of the hits were different, even though the movement was the same. Darien explained that simply imitating the outer appearance is not enough. Helmut needs to control the minuscule differences in his muscles, the tremors at his fingertips, the movement's speed and flow, and his understanding of mind and sword to truly grasp the sword. Darien emphasized that resting is also part of training, but Helmut finds it boring. Finally, he met Elaga, and according to the leopard, he had grown a bit. Elaga is the ruler of the forest in the central territory of the Roots. Elaga allows Darien to live there, and Elaga also saved him from a two-headed snake named Nahu, according to Elaga. Darien's strength is unknown because humans can easily hide their true strength. No one knows who is stronger between Elaga and Darien. Nahu hates Darien because he destroyed the area that Nahu had built as a human farm. Helmut was shocked to see the human farm, where people were forced to work. There were also female humans, which Helmut had never seen before. Nahu prefers female humans because their meat is tender and they don't have much muscle. However, the small female humans are spared until they are big enough to be eaten. The males are made slaves for life to maintain the farm. Among the humans who maintain the farm, there is a leader named Ergo. Ergo gathered people who were dropped in the forest. If Elaga hadn't saved him, Helmut would have also become one of the slaves. They were about to leave when Nahu suddenly appeared before them. Although Nahu wasn't doing anything, Helmut felt immense pressure from his presence. Nahu was interested in Helmut because he sensed that the boy was somehow connected to Darien. It has only been a few years since Darien destroyed Nahu's farm, so the snake is wary of him. Elaga informed Nahu that Helmut had only stolen his clothes to wear. Elaga also warned Nahu not to harm the boy or else the leopard would attack him. Nahu ordered them to leave his territory, and Helmut fainted. The leopard reminded Helmut that he should not travel alone anymore now that Nahu has seen him. Helmut started to wonder if he could become as strong as Elaga or Darien. Elaga admitted that Darien is at a level that most normal humans would not be able to reach. Elaga advised Helmut to put forth his best effort in order to escape the forest. While Helmut accompanied Darien, Elaga returned home and promised to keep watch for one night. However, Helmut experienced intense stomach pain that prevented him from sleeping. He was instructed to consume poisonous herbs before bed to suppress the power of the seed of darkness. As Helmut suffered, Darien stood beneath the moon, murmuring about a specific 4-year period, swinging his sword through the trees. Surprisingly, Helmut began to enjoy this experience. His body felt lighter, and his vision seemed clearer, possibly due to the influence of the demonic soil. After months of consuming the herbs, his pain subsided, and he found it refreshing. Darien reminded Helmut of this progress, explaining that although they couldn't see the power, it was crucial for their body and its application to reach a basic level. Training in this aspect was necessary. Helmut's body now seemed ready for this training, so Darien agreed to teach him how to train invisibly. Darien instructed Helmut to absorb the energy from the atmosphere into his body and learn to control it, allowing him to materialize it through his sword. This was the key to mastering this power. Helmut absorbed the energy from nature while holding the sword. Darien emphasized the importance of simplicity and composed movements, ensuring Helmut didn't lose the flow. Darien continuously attacked Helmut, causing him to lose his composure. In response, Darien advised him to utilize his senses and absorb more energy, allowing him to feel the power more intensely. Although Helmut wasn't perfect from the beginning, they would continue training in this manner. After 4 years of training, Helmut displayed remarkable skill, effortlessly cutting down trees. Despite Darian's belief that Helmut still had room for improvement, Darian asked to see his progress. Helmut's incredible growth at such a young age amazed them. Darian realized that this child had the potential to make a significant impact on the world, whether for good or evil. Thus, he felt it was time to let Helmut go. Darian informed Helmut that it was time for him to leave the forest. If his seed of darkness continues to grow, he won't be able to pass through the divine barrier. Currently, the human world lies beyond the southern edge of the forest of roots, and Helmut must pass through the divine barrier to reach it. However, there is a weak spot in the barrier where he can potentially pass through. Erigo, who handles the humans in Naho's village, knows about this weak spot. Once Helmut escapes the forest, he will experience many things in the human world. Darian assured him that, as someone who has only lived in the forest, he may find the outside world exciting and entertaining. However, Darian reminded him that tragedy cannot be prevented by simply being cautious. When the time comes, Helmut may feel powerless, but he must not lose himself. Darian has no plans to accompany Helmut and instead intends to take a nap and spend some time alone. The next day, Helmut receives a present from Darian, consisting of a sword and a bag. Darian's life has come to an end, and Helmut promises to remember him. Elijah notices that Helmut is unhappy, which indicates that he is slowly becoming more human. In the morning, Helmut retrieves a pendant from Darian, made of pure gold, which says "Let there be light" on his oath. Margaret Irene informs Helmut that he needs to go to the human farm first. Elijah offers to help, but Helmut insists on managing it himself. They bid farewell to each other, and Helmut successfully captures Erigo, holding him hostage in the darkness. Black magic is a sinister power that can make even a seemingly weak mage strong. Erigo, who was envious and jealous of others, chose the path of black magic because he believed he lacked talent. He engaged in activities like human trafficking and kidnapping to obtain the necessary materials for his dark magic. As a result, Erigo became even more evil and powerful due to the suffering and fear associated with his actions. Still, because of a certain voodoo's pursuit, his atrocities were exposed to the world. He was captured and doomed to death or exile in order to avoid being executed. Right down, he chose the timber of roots. Ultimately, he met the two-faced snake. There he was granted a portion of the snake's home in exchange for his submission and offerings. Ergo used magic to assemble all of the humans who had been expatriated to the timber. They had no choice but to submit in order to avoid being massacred by satanic beasts. Right down, and that is how the mortal ranch was made. Erigo became the king of the ranch while other humans were treated like bear beast. The true master of the home, Nahu, obtruded with Irugu's work as long as he offered offerings. Therefore, while serving Nahu, Irugu started to fulfill his intentions formally against Il. Every downtime he could not help but be nervous as well, because whenever Nahu went into hibernation, the satanic beasts in the area would attack the ranch every day. Indeed, in such an insignificant extremity, he had some form of satisfaction with his new life with Helmut's brand around his neck. It's another downtime extremity for Ergo. The boy asked him how to get out of the timber of roots. Ergo knew that he was Darian's convert. He originally refused to tell him, but Helmut hovered to seize any recordings he had because mage are supposedly obsessed with it. So Erigo is willing to misbehave. The system Erigo set up is theoretical, so no bone has ever tried it or indeed had the capability to try it. Darian could conceivably do it, and Erigo figured that he must be dead since he is not there either. Erigo offered Helmut to be his successor and live there, but Helmut does not want anything from him. The boy asked him to just hand over the book he discovered in a voodoo's den before the mage had gift-covered magic. Unfortunately, he could not escape grounded on that book. There is an immense cascade at the southern finish of the timberland land, the water and wicked energy debilitate the heavenly power. At the same time, Helmut should have the option to move beyond the obstruction, assuming he hurls himself in there. The heavenly hindrance is on the most significant level, so anybody even with a smidgen of satanic energy will transform into remains. Erigel was saved, however Helmut tied him up and advised him to avoid awful things. Irugo awakened Neho from his profound rest. He told them about Darian's death and that the disciple was there. When they saw all the demonic beasts fleeing, Naho decided to go after the boy to get rid of him. Helmut knew he was in great danger. He should have killed Eriko earlier, so he ran like crazy, but he couldn't get out of his territory because the whole place was filled with demonic energy. Naho came up to him and said hello. The boy was informed that he was the snake's long-awaited guest. After he killed Naho, Helmut made the decision to leave. The snake underrated Helmut, furthermore, was going to eat him, yet Helmut figured out how to avoid his assault. Their environmental factors became dusty, and out of nowhere the snake was at that point circumnavigating Helmut. Helmut knew that his opponent was strong, so he had to look for opportunities to attack regardless of how strong his demonic energy is. There will be a spot where his vis can penetrate. And that is in his eye. The snake grunted in pain as Helmut struck his eye. Helmut was able to buy himself some time. It'd be great if he could defeat him. But that's the best he can do at his current skill level. He used up too much this for that attack, so he'll die if he keeps fighting. Helmut needs to escape fast, but the snake was appalled. The snake got rid of its head, whose eye was useless. Helmut managed to hide after getting hit by the snake's attack. It will be harder for the snake to see now because of his lost head. Helmut managed to buy some time to hurry and escape, but the snake found him and was about to eat him alive. Suddenly Ilaga came to rescue Helmut. The demonic energy Helmut sensed was from Ilaga. Ilaga asked him to go and leave the rest to the leopard. Helmut was about to refuse, but Ilaga reminded him to go and find his freedom. Helmut thanked the leopard for everything and left the place. Nahu was mad that the leopard dared to stop him in his own territory. So now they have to fight against each other. Helmut has been running for days since he passed Elijah's territory. He was able to defeat any demonic beast that wasn't on the same level as Naho. He realized that he wouldn't be able to survive in that place if he hadn't met Ilaga and Darian. He only has one chance now, and he must get out of that forest for Ilaga and Darian's efforts to not be wasted. The place he's in right now is different from Elegant's territory. He almost can't feel any demonic energy, and the Seed of Darkness is also irritated. It could be reacting to the divine barrier. Helmut had covered it with a hood, so he was not in trouble. Along the way he found a feather. It belongs to a demonic beast bird named Igrail, the ruler of the south, and Helmut is in his territory. Now the boy didn't expect that there was a demonic beast so close to the divine barrier. Ilaga had said that Igrali's curiosity is extremely strong. The beast could sense Nahu's blood and Ilaga's scent on Helmut. Helmut told the beast that he's Ilaga's kin, but he's not there on Ilaga's order. Helmut said that he has his own reasons that could be meaningful for Igali as well. He's going to be the first human to cross the barrier and make it out of the forest of roots. Igrail laughed at the seemingly weak human because Helmut still has seeds of darkness in him. Helmut still desires to be the first human to attempt to flee. But Igrail does not want to risk burning a prey. Helmut warned that the beast can always find humans dropped there, but the only person who will try to escape is him. Was Igrail to see him try? If Helmut succeeds, Igrail will be the first demonic beast to witness it. Igrail will protect him with power until Helmut reaches the barrier, no matter what the result is. Helmut wanted Igrail to tell Elijah that he survived and made it out of the forest, and Igrail agreed. Helmut ran towards the barrier and kept on moving forward underwater. Divinity is the power of purification that protects humans and rejects impurity that power is penetrating through. Helmut, as he tries to go past the barrier, he has never felt pain like that before, and he can't maintain his consciousness. To demonic beasts he's a human, but to humans he has turned into a demonic beast. He wonders where exactly he's supposed to go.